direct in a moment. So head over to there. Link is in our bio. So if you go onto our link tree, you'll be able to find a link straight through to YouTube there. So we're going to turn Instagram off in a moment. We're going to head over there and just do it solely on YouTube. So find that link in our bio, go into link tree and just follow it through. If not, it's Raw Grappling Championship. Just type it in YouTube and you'll find it right there.
Man, amazing. We are live
Yep.
on YouTube, I can officially say. So I'm going to
Cool.
say hello to everyone on Insta. We'll leave Insta up for a few minutes, though, right?
You want to leave it out for a minute?
Yeah,
Let some people
yeah.
come.
People need
Let
to
some
know
people
what's
come
going
through.
on.
All right.
Yeah,
All right. All
yeah.
right.
Lots of stuff happening.
Roll it.
So if you just joined us, welcome to the YouTube stream. We're with you on Insta. We're on YouTube. Chris Hoekstra, Damon Robinson, great to have your company today. We're making some great announcements, I hope, for some potential talent to join us on the Raw Grappling Championship this summer. It's the big arena show, and I believe, Damon, it's at the O2. Is that right?
Yep. London O2 Arena again. Same place as we had our first one. It's a nice place over there.
Man, so before we kick things off, one of the things I think I'm interested in, I'd be curious if anyone's got any opinions on this. There's a few really interesting MMA fights this weekend where
Hmm.
I think grappling is going to be a big, 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 big factor. Um, which one of those three are you interested in, Damon? We talked about it before we went on here.
Yeah, I think the same one everyone's interested in, right? Hamza and Burns.
Yeah. What's your prediction? Have you got, I mean, the thing that really stuck out to me about these fights, like, I'm going to pick, obviously, Shemaev and Burns, Aljamain Sterling, Peter Yan. And I think we got to definitely talk about Volkanovski and Chan Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie. I think all three of those fights are fascinating because there is such a huge discrepancy in the odds. It's really rare we see a couple of championship fights and indeed a feature fight like this where, one of the competitors is such a gigantic underdog. I don't know. Do you see Shemaev on the topic of that fight just running through Burns?
I don't think he's going to run through him. No, I think it's going to take someone like Burns. I think with that grappling background, um, just to be able to deal with the pressure of Hamza. I think, but we've seen this many times before, right? When there's a phenom coming up, you see it with Khabib, you see it with Conor, you see it with all these guys where every single match they had, this was going to be the guy that took him out, right? And every single time, well, apart from late years with Conor, but like with Khabib, it's always this is the guy who's going to beat him, this is the guy that's going to beat him, and it just never happens. So like Hamzat's probably going to be on that sort of freight train, but Gilbert Burns is no fool, and he's used to dealing with that pressure. He's grappled with some of the best jiu-jitsu athletes in the world, and I think that's going to come in really helpful for this.
Yeah, it definitely could. I mean, fitness as well. You look at the kind of training that guy is doing. You definitely look at the even when like remember when Shemaev was announced against Leon Edwards, I think was the fight it was supposed to be, wasn't it?
The what before Gilbert stepped in? Yeah,
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 before, right? And then
yeah.
Shemaev was like, I'm not sure about timing for competition, and he had COVID and all that. And then you look at the training that Gilbert Burns is putting in to deal with that kind of pressure that he brings. And I think a lot of people are kind of underestimating, especially the bookies, because you often see fighters who are overvalued or undervalued. And yeah, it could be an interesting fight. Again, I'm also really stoked to see the Korean Zombie in against Volkanovski and
Hmm.
Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan. What a story there, too. So, two great fighters in that event. And I think a closer fight than the bookies are saying. All right, enough
Absolutely.
about MMA. We got to talk about grappling, don't we? Pure
Yeah, we do.
grappling.
We do. We do. That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
It is. So before we go over to YouTube, we'll just say hello to everybody on Instagram. Thanks so much for joining us, Chris Hoekstra, Damon Robinson. We're kind of letting the YouTube go. We're letting the Instagram go for a little bit, just to let you know. Oh, we got a prediction here. If he beats Burns, he's the real deal. Says Rambo Bambino 1980. Yeah, I agree. On Instagram, I do. I definitely do. It's what makes you really want to watch these fights because there's a whole bunch of questions and there's really high expectations. But yeah, once again to the Instagram audience here, we are going over to YouTube momentarily. We just wanted to go on here to let you know that we're rolling there. And Damon, once again, because some of these people, they're late, man. They're late. We're late. Everybody might be late, but they need to know, what are we announcing today?
We're announcing those guys who have been given those contracts to come through to the arena show in July on the Raw Grappling Championship. And we're going to sign off of Instagram now. So jump over to onto YouTube and check it out over there. Let's go.
All right. We'll see you guys.
See
Andy
you in a minute.
Chambers just joined. Dulinski just joined on Insta. Get over
Chuck
to
one. I'm
YouTube. We're
signing
going
off. I'm
over to
signing
YouTube.
off.
See ya. All right. Damon,
Done.
we've closed the pipeline. We're officially now on a one-way street on YouTube. We got some people watching. I'm checking out the chat. If you want to say something in the YouTube chat, be sure to let us know what you think. Yeah, interesting weekend. Very interesting weekend. We just came off the Road to Raw in Eastbourne. We did some live coverage. You can check out the video of that on YouTube. Pretty cool, man. Really, really cool. I've got a lot of reactions on that, but before I give you mine, Damon, I want to know what you thought, man. This is like talking to Dana White, the Dana White of BJJ.
Yeah, we'll
Or
get
wait,
there.
what did
We'll
George
get
say?
there.
He said you were the Elon Musk of Hastings.
Elon Musk based it. The, the, the problem is it doesn't take too much to get to Elon Musk or Hastings, so I'm not sure if it's a compliment or not. But no, it's all good. The competition was good, mate. We done a few new things there as well, which people were seeing. We was running the live podcast from there as well, so we was having people who were winning or getting good performances when they finished. They were jumping on the live stream and giving us some rundown of some stuff that went on. We had loads of people on there. We had people like we had like 5-year-olds on there who were just coming through with their gold wins. We had the color belts, blue belts, hungry purple belts on there trying to get a shot. We had some more experienced black belts come through as well, and everybody had something different to say. And it was interesting to see some of the black belts who came through to let us know how they felt like the tournament went. They had a lot of experience competing. So they've been to a lot of tournaments, they've been around for a long time. And hearing some of their feedback about the show was great. And just seeing how good those little kids were as well, which was really cool. I always love watching the kids at the tournaments as well. Like their matches are always they always seem so technically perfect, all the time. The young ones always seem to be doing good, and those ones who stick with it, yeah, they'll be doing super good. I know you quite enjoyed the youth culture at that event as well.
It was amazing. And it was kind of one of the things that, like, to me just wasn't, surprising necessarily or entirely a novel revelation. But for me, it was such an affirmation of how good the scene is in the UK right now. And I mean, I can remember even, when this conversation was had with Paul Bridges, who's one of the Dirty Dozen, right? About how much had changed since he started jujitsu in like 95, 96,
Hmm.
in the wake of the first UFC. We're reminiscing about all sorts of things. He had trained with the Gracies in the US and this, that, and the other. And, I remember even thinking like maybe, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, how good it was getting in London and how many great black belts were teaching in London. And now, I mean, even speaking about the opportunities for these youngsters to be able to go out and compete and grow and gain traction in their own kind of philosophy about the sport was something really cool to actually talk about. Like too often, you hear about these things or you see some footage or you read an article, but to actually have extended conversations with kids who had trained from 2 years old, who could talk me through a finish at the age of what, 5, 6? That was Atos, right?
Yeah, Athos.
Athos, yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible, wasn't it?
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, Athos is great. I coach Athos as well most weeks, and yeah, he's a beast as well. I love it when these kids are doing this and they're going to competitions and like showing no nerves or anything, and just getting on there and absolutely destroying it. Yeah, I love it. I love to see it. I love to
And
see it.
like, it was also cool to like talk to some of the, I don't know, some of the kids who were like in secondary school or not long out of it, and how some of them had never done athletics before. Some of them weren't really necessarily keen on any one hobby until they found jujitsu. Some of them were like, I wanna give a couple of shout outs. Like I remember talking to Roman. It was so cool to hear. And then we pulled Paul on. I'll mention Paul again. Shout out to Paul. It was good to catch up with you, bro. About how he had actually, through watching YouTube and actually doing further in depth studies outside of his training in the gym, developed his own game or things he wanted to find a better understanding from, or maybe improvements on, and some weaknesses that he had. And I really, really, really enjoyed hearing how intelligent some of these younger kids were, say from the teenagers all the way down to some of the youngsters, like I mentioned with Athos. And again, it wasn't surprising, but it was such an affirmation of how amazing the level is and what a bright future for this sport in the gi, no gi. Yeah, it really brings a smile to your face. I'm sure it was must have warmed your very tired heart at that point after getting everything ready for the competition, right?
Oh yeah, of course. It's like jiu-jitsu, although it's getting popular, it's still like relatively new sport, right? And especially for the young kids, you're only really going to find it if your parents put you into it. It's not like you're just going to join up football or whatever it is, cricket or hockey or something at school. It's not there, so you have to go and seek it out. And usually the kids that find it do love it. and can prosper there as well. And it is good, mate. It is good.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember like Archer. Shout out to Archer. I had a good. I think he was from the Gauntlet Fight Academy. Archer had a really, really,
yep.
really cool expression. He's like, "Yeah, I just won," and but he goes, I've kind of got a bit of an identity crisis with my jujitsu right now. And I was like, "Well, do tell, do tell." And he's like, sometimes I like to look up and try all these different, perhaps low percentage moves. But then when it comes to getting ready for competition, or he talked about training at GB Top Team with Brad Pickett, for example, if you wanted to get into MMA, you have to have a very narrow focused, conservative approach to his game. And it was so cool to hear from a very young athlete, not only in his age, but also in his journey, to have such a nuanced understanding of this game. So yeah, shout out to Archer. That was another good chat. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, perfect. And hopefully we'll see some of these guys in the future as well. There are younger athletes, and the more that we can do for them, and put on bigger events and stuff like this, and give people more opportunities and show them where it can really go, then hopefully we'll see them in the future on some of these bigger shows as well.
Yeah,
But
amen. Couple quick
yeah,
shout outs. We got Tom Dooley saying, great to see the podcast up again. Yep, great to see you, Tom. Was awesome to see you in Eastbourne. And definitely excited for the O2. We're going to make those announcements about the contracts in a second. And Andy Chambers says hello, another Ace Things guy. Good to see you as well, Andy. And he said, Damon, he wanted to see you on the mats. So maybe we could get a super fight next show. You and Chambers.
me and Chambers. Yeah, definitely. I'm there. I'm there. You have to pay me.
Andy, the challenge has been issued. Anyways, we'll
See,
see if he
see
jumps
what.
on. We got some business today, man. That's our reactions to the tournament. Really enjoyed seeing you all there. Again, if you haven't checked out that video, it's on our YouTube page. So make sure you, as we always say, smash that subscribe button. Check it out. Give it a like and let us know what you think. Damon, a lot of things you've got to say about dun dun dun, a upcoming Raw Grappling Championship show. I'm going to turn it right over to you. Give us the inside info on what's actually happening.
Yeah, so the show is scheduled for July the 3rd, which is a Sunday. Is a Sunday at London O2 Arena, back there again. It's not actually that far off now. It's like 3 months away or something, isn't it? And we just wanted to hold off announcing it properly until this tournament was out of the way, because we didn't want to take anything away from the tournament. We want everyone to fully focus on the tournament, and not get too wrapped up in the actual arena show. But 3rd of July, we're back there. It's going to run slightly different to the first one. If you was there for the first one, you'll realize that we did two shows. We did a daytime show with the prelims and undercards and colored belts and stuff, and then we had a little break and we did another, so a second show, which was the black belt Grand Prix and the super fights there. What we had, we're running it differently this time. It's going to be one show, so it's going to be however long, like 4 or 5 hour show or whatever. And we're going to have the prelims running concurrently straight into the super fights and everything else like that. Getting on to the topic of the prelims and the color belts and stuff like that. So one of the reasons that we did this tournament just now was to find some new people for that, and we found some. We've actually found 5 people. We found 5 people that we want to put through. Matchmaking has started. These are very fresh, so although we've put the feelers out already, it's still not 100% confirmed, but these people are confirmed. If they can make the date, they're going to be there. We're going to reach out to them after this. So I want to just break it down, really. Give everybody what they want to hear, and show them who we got.
Can I interject? I got to ask you,
Go on.
when you're there, when you're actually
Ah,
watching all the action,
yeah.
people will have seen shows like Dana White Looking for a Fight or other kind of behind the scenes insights into what matchmakers and promoters are looking for. And we definitely discussed this a little bit when we did the interviews and the kind of live coverage of the Road to Raw show. But I think people watching now would love to know what you were kind of funneling in as you were making these decisions. What were some of the key metrics you were looking for, and how did that affect who you've chosen here?
Yeah, so one of the things I like, or one of the things I like to look for, especially when we're trying to match people, we ultimately, the narrowest thing we look for is someone who's got good abilities, who's skillful, that can perform well, can perform under pressure, will always show up, and is always going to be there and do what they need to do. But there's another big thing that I think is very important, and that is how people approach the sport in general. And what I mean by that is I like to speak to people after their fights, after the tournaments, listen to what they're saying. And there's certain people that will always stand out in terms of their their engagement to the sport, their commitment to the training. They can really break down what they just done. You can see there's a different kind of energy about them. You can see that it's not necessarily someone who can win a fight, right? You could have someone who comes in, has a bad day, gets caught badly, loses the fight, loses the tournament. But when you speak to them afterwards and you understand how they're training and everything else, you know they're going to go away and they're going to be thinking about that and working towards improving. Like, we want people to improve. It's important that people improve. We don't want somebody really coming to a tournament, having their match, even if they get a win, just be very complacent with that win, sort of, yeah, that's my win, I'll take it, go home, and then just do the same stuff and then come to the next tournament. It's all very much the same stuff. They could be winning, they could be losing, but that's where they go. I like those hungry people, those people who can come out, win or lose, they come back. If they win, they say, yeah, I did this, I did that, this is how I won, this is what's going to go on, I'm now fully focused on this tournament, on that and that competition. And that's where I think you're going to get the best out of people, and I think they're going to get the best out of themselves, and I think that's how the sport's also going to grow. So I do like to look at that. I like to also see the commitment from people. Like, you have some people who take their training very seriously. They will travel abroad. They will go and put themselves in the best gyms in the world, because they're actively trying to pursue this. And I think that is very important, definitely.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I think.
go on.
Yeah, one of the things that we even spoke about a lot between you and I, and even with some of the competitors there, is that I got to quote Max Bickerton. It's a typical jujitsu journey. He was saying as he laughed about some of these things. But, the thing is, that is, as you said in that conversation, one of the biggest differentiators, those who are willing to do what other people necessarily might not be. That's how you achieve the higher levels. That's how you push beyond, adversity and setbacks, and that constant lust for self-improvement is something that I saw in so many people. So it must have been a tough decision. And we saw some spectacular finishes. I mean, some of those matches this past weekend were just like, and they could have gone either way. Some of these positions that people were in, even hearing in some of the interviews, like I remember who had that calf, I think it was George, had the calf slicer exchange.
Yeah, yeah.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, the guy who has got George into a calf slice position, calf crush position. The guy was putting the submission on. I think he like broke his own knee in the process, and continued trying to hold out for the submission with like a broken knee. I think George finally accepted that he didn't want to go to hospital with the guy, and finally tapped, but the guy won and still continued the bracket. Not necessarily that's what we're looking for, but you have to admire it, definitely.
Amen. So, Bambino bounces back, says, "Great question." He liked the fact that I asked you about that. Aren't we glad that we get to make this a bit of an interview, right, Damon? People want to know what you think, man. They want to know exactly kind of how you've approached this, because I know you have a vision to try to make this the most entertaining version of grappling, the most exciting version of grappling that we can, and indeed, as you said, something that gives the opportunities to the best fighters, period, the most technical, and those that represent the sport of not only BJJ but any other style of grappling, because this can be a platform. With the rules that we had from blue belt up, pretty much most things were fair game, which again, I think contributes to showing who the most skillful fighters are.
Hmm.
Yeah, lots more to say about that, but yeah, let's jump straight to it. These people have all joined us. They're all waiting for the big announcements, man. Give
Right.
me fighter number one.
Fighter number one is someone we already know. He was with us on first Raw Grappling show. He was with us there on the blue belt. He came in on the blue belt GP. He was the first match out, actually. Very, very good. But he also was matched up against the winner of the bracket in Owen Jones, who's very good. It is what it is. It was a loss, but he's come back now. He's purple belt now. He flew over from Belgium with us to compete. He's been training over at the B team with Craig Jones, Robert DeGale now for a few months, trying to improve himself. And this was his first outing as a purple belt, and that is Ilias Quasi. Ilias Quasi. I love Ilias. He's super good. He's one of them guys that is taking this seriously and wants to get somewhere with it. He's traveled over to us from our first tournament from Belgium. Like I say, he's been training over at the B team in America, and he's taken it seriously, and he's very, very high level as well. He won his bracket. He won his first match via points against a very strong opponent. And I've always seen Elias to be playing a lot of leg locks and stuff like this, and he had to change his game for that one. The guy pulled guard on him, I think, and afterwards Elias told me that the guy was like super, super strong. And Elias had to use a top game to win that, which I'm not seeing really much from him. So that was super good. And then in the finals, he got submission. He got the and finished with an armbar in that position. Um, he was going to do the absolutes as well, but he didn't book into it, which he said he regretted. And I know he would have done super well in that anyway. But that's Elliot Quasi. We'll be speaking to him after, and be good to see him back at the arena show.
Yeah, I remember chatting to him a little bit after that, and he was like, we actually had a couple of people talk to us about this. I think even one of them during the actual interviews, they were like, can we maybe do another division? We're having such a great day. Can we maybe? Well, congratulations to Ilias. Yeah, it'd be great to have him back again, and you could really sense the dedication from this guy. So yeah, it's
Yep.
I think everything you're looking for, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think he's young as well.
Yep.
I think he's young, but yeah, no, perfect. Second person is another purple belt. This guy stood out to me. Very confident guy. He's 85 kilograms, I think he weighed in at. He come up to me. I think he's reached out the day before, or maybe something else like that, and he said, "Look, his friend is also in this division, um, and he doesn't want to fight his friend in the finals or something like that, and he wanted to go into the ultra heavyweight
Yep.
category."
I remember.
Yeah, so this guy, purple belt, he's jumped up from 85 kilogram to over 97, I think it was, or under 97 or whatever. And he won the gold in that division. He then went into the absolute. The purple and brown belts were combined. Like I say, this guy was a purple belt. He did super good in there as well. Got to the final, went up against Stephen Hill. And we all know how good Stephen is. He was also with us on the last arena show. Um, this guy I saw take Stephen down, which is very difficult to do. I don't actually think I've ever seen anybody do it. I could be wrong. I've not seen it. Could have happened. And he was actually beating him quite badly on points at one stage.
Yep.
Don't quote me because we were busy, but I think it went up to like 8-0 at one stage, which was really what's the word for it? I wasn't expecting to see it, that's for sure. Anyway, Steve came back and did end up finishing this guy with submission. I think it was a Kimura or something, but I'm not going to take that away from him. We've got silver in the absolutes as well. The guy's name is Freddie Barker. We did interview him afterwards, and he had a really good energy about him. He was super happy to be there. Really enjoyed the day. Like I say, he won his bracket and got silver in the absolute, but it's a good run, and you can tell this guy is going to be tough. And speaking to Steve after, he mentioned how tough this guy was. And when you've got grapplers like Steve saying that about someone who's especially
Mm.
a rank below him as such, you've got to listen to that.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember talking to him. I think he had just cut his hair. He was rocking a pink rash guard. Is that right?
Yeah, that's a guy. Yeah.
Yep. And he confessed he was just like, I want to get on the show. I really want to be there. He did mention the story behind going up in weight, which was already impressive to me. I mean, it's like, especially if you have a teammate who you are going to attend a tournament with, the fact that he was just like, hey, we don't even have to do straws or anything like that. I'm going up. Like that shows you he's a game guy. So again, I was stoked about his energy, and I feel like he would be a great addition too. I didn't get to see any of his fights, but I do remember hearing from Steven about like how he was down on points and a bit baffled about that takedown. He was like, oh, I didn't really expect that. Now, Steven again is like 5-0 in MMA. I don't know about his amateur record, but I know he's 5-0 as a pro. He's a champ. You got to factor a lot of those things in. So again, yeah, props to Freddie, and look forward to having him on there too.
Massively deserved. Massively deserved. I've got some people in mind for Freddie as well, so we'll see what happens.
Ooh.
Next person was, I expect we was going to see a lot of this. I didn't see as much as I thought, but the leg lock game is obviously coming up a lot. The rule set that we do now at Raw, you'd expect to see that a lot. From blue belt and above, it's literally anything you want to do, any heel hook, any toe hold, any knee bar, and everything else. So I expect some of these guys who have been expanding their leg lock game to be coming through a lot more and seeing them play this game. we didn't see too much of it, but there was one person who did stand out. He was also a purple belt, 85 kilograms, so he was in the bracket that Freddie should have been in. So it'd have been interesting to see those two go up against each other, but it is what it is. Um, this guy's name is Daniel Usman. Daniel Usman. Or his name on Instagram is also Leglock City, um, which is we interviewed him as well. I
Yeah.
really liked his energy. He's extremely confident in his abilities, and he was telling us I think he had been training with Jed Hu, a lot of them guys up there, and he had been expanding his leg lock game a lot. And he said he came from a wrestling specific gym, I believe.
Legion
Ye-
Grappling under Dr. Amir. Again, I totally butchered that one because then he was explaining the connection to Jude Samuel and yeah, that was embarrassment city for me there, man. But yeah, shout out to him. I believe he was all about leg locks, and we had a really good discussion.
Yeah,
I mean, again, some of these are worth going back and checking out because it was really cool to kind of deep dive a little bit on. I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, some of the youngsters who are just starting to find their game and think conceptually about why they want to go a certain route or where they like to try to push things into a competition. But yeah, Daniel Usman, yeah, was adamant about the leg lock setups. I think he was talking
yeah,
us
and
through a couple of them.
and you could tell that he knew what he was doing. He said that he's trying to expand that part of his game and improve that part of his game. So I can only imagine if he was to get an opportunity to go onto a big show like Raw, he's only going to go back to the gym and make that even better. So that's what I want to see from him, um, and I'm sure he's going to deliver.
Yeah. Yeah. No, amazing. Again, like a super focused guy, and it was a really, really, really lovely conversation to, talk technique. You and I are both nerds about this sport, and I'm sure that Daniel will be training hard for July the 3rd.
We'll be in contact with him.
All right.
Next,
Number 4.
next person. This is a guy. He was in our black belt division under 85. Seems like we got everybody under 85 today, but he was in the under 85. Yeah, 85 category. It was his first outing as a black belt. Now, the reason that he stood out to me, bear with me, I'm just going to pull this guy's bracket up so I don't confuse this situation. But we spoke a moment ago about the guy who got George Rogalevs into that calf crushing battle. Um, the guy that won him here, I'm just pulling this bracket up now so I can talk you through it. Yeah, so there was this guy, Konstantinos. He won his first round by calf crush. He then went on to fight someone who I train with, actually, Arash Kalagi, who's an extremely high level grappler, and his leg lock game is again incredibly good. He beat him. I think he beat him with like a side on armbar or something like that, and then he went through into the finals. And this guy's name is John Robinson, who met Konstantinos in the finals, and he was like 14-0 up on points, and then finished it with a submission. And this was his first outing as a black belt as well. So we already know how good Konstantinos is. He just ran through the bracket, got to the final, and then got stopped in quite dramatic fashion by John Robinson, who, like I say, his first outing as a black belt. I think that's something that can't be ignored.
Mm.
Definitely, John's got his own gym. Goes by Instagram name John Jitsu, I believe.
Yep,
Um,
it's John Jitsu Academy.
John
John Jitsu
Jitsu.
Academy. That was one of the other talking points. I said, "You're not the only Johnny Jitsu I know, man." There's and I definitely gave him a shout out as well. There's Johnny Redmond, Johnny Jitsu Redmond. Yeah, great buddy of mine. Yeah, he's been on Bellator and Bama, and so yeah, maybe there's a match. Maybe Johnny Jitsu versus Johnny Jitsu. But yeah,
but
he was like, I
I
think he
like
was like
that. Yeah.
4 or 5 fight pro MMA veteran, had fought in Brave, had fought in some pretty good shows, was also coaching and had medaled. I think one of the biggest things about him, again, we spoke to him for a while, didn't we, Damon?
Yep.
He had been, I think, really focused on medaling at every single belt level, which was pretty cool as well to hear him talk about. Again, if you haven't seen the video, go back and check it out. It was a big goal of his to be able to medal and progress from belt to belt to belt. And it was like, man, 1 for 1, gold at black belt, first try. So it's, yeah, definitely a skillful guy.
He's earned his marks, right? This is why I think it's important to give him a call, because yeah, first out in gold, it's clearly that he's earned his way there and he's put the work in to get there. So although he's a fresh black belt, um, he's winning already, so he's doing something right. It'd
Mm,
be good to see John. But we'll reach out to John, um, and see how he gets on the arena show for
Yeah,
sure.
no, super, super, super cool guy. And obviously a guy who's like a really committed coach too, which was I
Yeah.
think something very refreshing to hear from not only veteran fighters, but veteran coaches who again give you some insight, who are going up and coaching and competing on the same show, which is just amazing. So not an easy feat, and congratulations to Johnny Jitsu.
Yeah, good job. Last place, another black belt. This time, this guy actually weighed in at 89 kilograms, so he's about 90 kilograms. He's in the under 91s. This is Max Bickerton, good old Max Bickerton. Now, Max has been around the block for a while anyway. Um, he was he was super happy to get a chance to come and compete with us on the tournament. He came in and he won his bracket, which was the heavyweight. He won his bracket. He won his finals match 18-2 against a guy. So the guy that Max beat 19, or what did I say? It was 18-2, was a guy we just spoken about, Stephen Hill, and how good Stephen is, and how much of a high level Stephen is, and how he's a champion in many different places. And there was a Stephen went up against this guy in the first round and unfortunately got beaten. And then Max went on to beat this guy that just beat Steve 18-2. So it's clear to see there that Max is skill shows itself, and Max is a real skillful player as well, and he's been around for years. He's been in the game for years. Competes at most tournaments, and you'll always see him around. And I think it's really important to also give people like that, and Max is a great guy, great for the sport too, and I think it's important to give those people these opportunities as well, especially when they are proving themselves at these tournaments. This is what these tournaments are right for, right?
Mm.
So we had a good chat with Max as well. He was I love Max's energy too. Super focused on jiu-jitsu. He's only going to get better also, and it'd be good to start seeing him up against some tough competitors as well.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy. I remember meeting him. I want to say we spoke about this on the stream. I'm repeating myself, but it was at Jude's old gym at Urban Kings. I think not long after he just gotten his purple belt, and yeah, always, always, always super fun to roll with. Like very, very knowledgeable. You could really tell that he had taken a very focused approach to the sport early. And man, it's paying dividends now. The guy sounds like he's just, I think he told us he's just like literally taking the chance to compete as much as possible. You'll see him at open mats around different places in London. What's the home gym again?
I don't know. Didn't he say something? He was training at Apex or something as well,
Yep,
wasn't he? I don't know if it's
yep.
his home gym or not.
I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure it
actually
is.
know.
Yeah, he's on
Yeah,
Max. I'm gonna go on there, Max IGBJJ. And I want to say, yeah, I think it was. And he's also doing
Apex
some,
Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, ZR team. I'm seeing it here.
yep, yep, yep.
There's
So
some
again,
such good guys over there as well.
yeah,
We had a
Josh.
few of them on the last Raw show, and they're always blowing things out the park.
Yeah, yeah. Josh Halvatsis just asked if this is going to involve super fights on July 3rd, or if we're going to have a tournament structure, maybe both. It's two shows for sure.
No, one show, one show. We're
One
running
show.
one show. We're not doing two separate shows again. It's going to be one show running all the way through.
Okay.
Um, it's mainly a super fight based competition, but we are working on. We want to get the blue belts in, and we're going to be running like again, this could change, but we're probably going to be running a 4-man round robin tournament for the blue belts, and then amongst the purple belt super fights during the first half, which is going to move through to some of the. Um, we've got a really good brown belt super fight schedule, which I can't announce just yet because we haven't quite confirmed it, but it's 99% done. Then it's going to move through into the like the black belt super fights we got here from the two winners from the Road to Raw show, and then it's going to move into our international competitors and our big super fights.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be basically some high profile super fights. Will there be, besides the lower belt tournaments that you've mentioned, a black belt Grand Prix again?
No, no,
Okay.
just super fights this time around.
Got it. Why?
Uh-huh.
What made you decide to do that?
Two reasons. First of all, I wanted to try it out. There's a new concept as well that I wanted to try, which I haven't announced yet on one of these fights. Just a slight change. It's not going to be for the whole tournament. There's one fight that I want to change the rule set slightly on and change the entire concept. Never been seen before in jiu-jitsu, especially in a super fight. But it's going to be a lot more relatable to those people who are not necessarily jiu-jitsu nerds or who understand the rules from our perspective. So that's going to be trialed out, which is going to be interesting. But also, it's very close to the ADCC. The reason that we've done it on this date is because it's about the right amount of time for people to come and do their last big event before knuckling down for the ADCC. And we've got some really, really big names coming in. It's going to be one of the most stacked cards you'd ever seen, especially in the UK. And a lot of these guys don't want to do GPs, especially this close to ADCC.
Got
You'll
it.
speak to a lot of these guys who will come in and would just prefer to come in and do a super fight, be able to commit to that, walk away, and then chisel down, ready for September. And by doing a GP, it's going to be off-putting to some. Just put it that way.
Got it. Got it. So no, there'll be no sort of quintet variations or combat jujitsu or EBI overtime rules. No twists in that direction.
No, we're not going down that road. We're going to stick to raw rules. But there's one fight that we're changing completely. And
Okay.
this is a trial run, seeing if it works, seeing how people like it, and potentially this could be the way jiu-jitsu goes, I believe, in the future, if people are going to relate to it from a mainstream audience. So that'll be interesting to see. But other than that, it's a super fight show.
I look forward to it, man. Amazing. What a great way to end this stream. Thank you to everybody watching. Thank you so much for checking this out. Thanks for joining us on Instagram, on YouTube. Chris Hookster and Damon Robinson will be trying to do this with you and hopefully bringing some other guests on and breaking down various things. We got the podcast going on, some other content coming out, I believe, Damon.
Yeah. Like we said many times now, we're really ramping up our content, what we're doing. We're doing loads of bits and pieces and trying to interact with you guys a lot more, and also the guys internationally as well. So just keep an eye out on what's going on. We've got all the highlights and pictures and everything else like that supposed to be released in the next sort of 24 hours from the Road to Raw anyway. So keep a look out on that, and hopefully you catch yourself in some good highlight reels as well.
Brilliant. Anything else you
And
want to shout out?
yeah, not sure. Just one thing I want to touch on. We've pretty much reformed our entire structure now for Raw in terms of what we're going to be offering to people, and there's going to be a lot more Road to Raw tournaments coming up, and there's going to be a real detailed structure of what it is, the kind of things we're looking for there, and there's going to be a consistent lead up to these raw events. Or the Sorry, someone's trying to get a hold of me there. In real
It wasn't
consistent
me.
lead, real consistent lead up to the arena shows, and it's going to give people a real clear vision of what they need to do and how they need to get there, and give them ultimately the opportunity to be on these shows. So just keep a lookout on that. Loads of things going to be rolling through, and it's exciting times, man.
All right. They can follow us on Instagram at Raw Grappling Championship. They can follow us on YouTube at Raw Grappling Championship. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Discord, anything else. Not your phone number, right? You're still not giving that one out for free?
Not yet.
Not yet. All
DM me.
right.
DM me.
All right. Well, for Chris Hookster, Damon Robinson, thanks again for your company this evening. We're going to end the stream and we'll say a very good night. Hope you guys have a great rest of the week and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you, man. See you in a bit.